Hey guys, welcome back to yet another video. Yeah, and I see you're bobbing along over there.
I was getting down to the intro. I didn't want it to end.
It's such a great song. I love it. I'm like singing it the entire day. So guys, thank you again for tuning in. I'm joined by Yan, one of my really good friends, an incredible content creator, and honestly, just the perfect person I could think of to chat about the Champions League game yesterday, the win that we're absolutely still buzzing from, talk about some of the upcoming Chelsea games as well, and basically any questions that you guys have. So Yan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, pleasure. I'm looking forward to it. I think everyone's feeling good. And why wouldn't we, eh? What a great win. So, yeah, I'm really excited to get into it.
Yeah. So I'm just like cheesing so hard. That's my thumbnail, you know, like just thinking about that win. Going into that game, I wasn't expecting Chelsea to win, to be completely honest with you guys. I was expecting a draw. I was very hesitant going into the game. So how were you feeling ahead of the game, Yan?
How was I feeling? I guess similar to you, I was thinking of a draw, a score draw maybe, and that's only reflecting off how we look like we're good against low blocks. Looks like they were in pretty underwhelming form in the last 4 games, and they were without a couple of key players in Jose Jimenez. Is it no, what's his name? Is it Jose Jimenez? No. What's the centre half called? Jose Maria Jimenez. Anyway, him. Yannick Carrasco, great name. He's obviously out as well. And I just thought altogether, you know, when the draw was made, we were all doom and gloom, obviously. But prior, I was like, okay, we'll get a draw here. But I thought maybe 1-1, and it traditionally, that's a good result in the Champions League in a knockout tie, right? If you get a 1-1 draw away, an away goal, you're in a very commanding position and therefore favourites to go on and win it. But there you go, Jose Maria Jimenez in the chat. I thought, like, you know, we could draw 1-1 and that would be a good result. But this Atletico Madrid team, they're good at Stamford Bridge. They're good generally. They'd probably end up drawing 2-2 at Stamford Bridge, and they'd go through on away goals on the draw. You know, it's that kind of thing. So to go there, get a 1-0 win, get the away goal, and arguably, we were good value for a second goal. Not because we were like battering the door down all game, but because after the goal, they came out and we probably could have scored another goal. And had we won 2-0, not one person would have said, you know, robbery. They would have been like, yeah, you know, the way Atletico played, the way Chelsea played, they would have deserved it. So, yeah, in terms of how I felt before, I was probably the same as you. But upon reflection, like, could have done even better, maybe.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, oh, it's kind of a bummer that we didn't get that second goal. I remember, I think Timo Werner was actually pretty close to an opportunity at one point as well. And I just feel that Atletico played especially well and that we could have taken advantage of it even more. And something that I was thinking going into the match was, where are our goals going to come from? Because I feel like Chelsea have been relying a lot on penalties recently. Like we're getting wins, but we're getting penalties. We're not really scoring that much from open goals. And Thomas Tuchel spoke about it, that Chelsea play really well 80% of the pitch, but 20% it's just the final pass is off, the decision making's off, is a little bit overweighted. So do you think that Chelsea could have been more clinical in this game, and going into the reverse fixture, do you see that potential issue for Chelsea?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because Atletico Madrid's stinking up the gaff. It's not really a fair analysis because, you know, they're like 6 at the back, 3 in front. And then was that even a couple up front or whatever? Like, you know, they were really, so they're not a real fair analysis, because even compared to some other Prem teams, they're really going to challenge you. But nothing changed in this game. It was an amazing result, a professional performance from Chelsea, which is really important. Like, we were really sensible in critical moments. Not at the very beginning, obviously. There was a few like heart attack moments, you know, between Alonso, Rudiger, and Mendy, between all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But later on, we developed some professionalism in the match. But again, like, it's the same as, like, you said, it took an absolute world class, you know, acrobatic bicycle kick to score that goal. It wasn't like a systemic cutback and then a goal. I'm seeing Joe Tweeds in the chat respecting my G&T flow. I hope he's having one too.
What's G&T? I don't even know.
Okay, come on, Liz. Gin and tonic. He knows. Maybe it's because Gordon's is I don't know. Other gins are available. Is a English brand maybe, I guess, but I'm assuming he's having something out there in Scandinavia himself. But yeah, so there it is. Nothing changed in that respect. It took an absolutely magnificent overhead kick from a sort of fortuitous situation of the ball coming off the geezer who looks like Alex Goldberg. And yeah, do you know what I mean? I mean, good professional performance, but like you just said to me, that the problems still remain.
Yeah. And while I was watching this game, the commentators actually said like Atletico Madrid are so compact in the back that Chelsea's final pass needs to be absolutely on point. It needs to be precise, and that's the way that they're going to break them down. And sure enough, that's how we got a goal from a ridiculous piece of skill from Olivier Giroud. So we have a question from Kema. I don't know if it's Kamak.
I'm going to say it. It's Kema Kolomegir.
Okay, Kevin, let's go with that. Let's go again. That's what I was thinking as well. Yeah. So they say, I'm not convinced that Chelsea played well. I think Atletico were poor. The win's huge, but there's work to be done for the return leg. So how are you feeling for the return leg? Because we are without Mason Mount. We are without Jorginho as well. Yeah.
I would dispute that comment, firstly. I think residual problems remain, but I think we played well. Yes, the common recurring theme is, Atletico played badly. La Liga is poor. 5th or 6th place Chelsea are better than the top of La Liga, which, requires a lot more context than just that sweeping statement. Yeah, they weren't at their greatest, and they have shown earlier this season they can attack very well. There's a reason why they're top of La Liga. And no, the residual problems are in the final quarter of the pitch, or 20%, as Tuchel puts it. But at the end of the day, it was a professional performance from what has been a very naive Chelsea team at times. And we showed that wobbly moments at the beginning, but apart from, not from going worse from that, we got better. There's, Mason Mount was like sitting on a yellow for ages. He wasn't silly. He was good. A lot of really sensible passes through the midfield in the last third of the game once we were a goal up. When Atleti started pressing like Man City all of a sudden. So it was. I'd dispute the fact to say these statements say we played poorly. I think we played well and professional, but there are residual issues up the top, which Thomas Tuchel is the first to talk about. And do you know what? I really, I know you asked me a different question. I'll get on it in a second. But just while I'm ranting here. I really, really bloody loved his analogy, which he said pre-match and he went back to it post-match, about Chelsea being like an orchestra that are so well tuned into playing the same song, the same practice. Like perhaps if they do a gig, they know a song so well in the final third in terms of attacking that they need to play to some new music. And they're so old habits, muscle memory. They keep going back to these poor attacking habits that they've fallen into. And I thought that was a beautiful analogy because I look at football quite artistically. And I thought, it really sort of hit home with me. And I was like, yeah, it is like a song that you've got stuck in your head or you always revert back to. Because I play music and stuff. So if I picked up a guitar and you went, and entertain us, rather than thinking, right, who are you? Who do you want to listen to? What are you going to respond to like a musician should do? I'd play a song that I just know. And that might not work with you, right? So I know that's the kind of musical analogy that I really liked. And I think that kind of makes a lot of sense in football as well. Yeah. So there's that, and yes, I think. Great analogy, I think it's awesome. Jorginho is important for us, but I think Kante slots straight in, not end of the world. Mount's the bigger loss. You'd assume Havertz would be, really sort of drilled now until that second leg, and you would imagine he'd be the one to step in. If not, maybe a 3-5-2 with not that, number false 9 in behind a couple. Maybe there'd just be another midfielder like a Billy Gilmour thrown in to be a little bit more robust, seeing as we're ahead. Which would be an interesting approach. Billy Gilmour could almost play the slightly advanced midfielder or something like that to be a bit more defensive in a good position. But you'd imagine Havertz would be the one to just drop in. So I don't think it's the end of the world. We'll have a couple of important players out. They'll have a couple of important players back, but we'll be in high confidence, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because they are without a couple of players. Hopefully, Thiago Silva will be back for that match as well, which I think will be massive for us. Something else we could potentially see is Ziyech coming in to the side as well. He has a lot of Champions League experience, but I was nervous with him on the pitch yesterday. I see your face kind of like I felt like giving away the ball a lot, especially when we were trying to hold on to that lead. So, what did you think of his performance and just how he's playing his spot at Chelsea in general?
I spoke to my dad on the phone about this. He's a big Chelsea fan. The reason why I support Chelsea. And we spoke about this for a long time because he knows I love Ziyech in terms of the type of player he is. And I do worry for him in this system. I don't worry for him in English football in the long term. He has the ability to be a Fabregas, Iron Robben hybrid. So, Iron Robben, left-footed right winger, or, Fabregas, who can play these, audacious, instant passes, a little bit like Bruno Fernandes. So, I love him as a player. I think in this 3-4-1-2 or 2, if it's a 3-4-2-1, you could argue maybe he comes in, but he hasn't sort of looked great. It's so high octane in the pressing. And I don't think he's going to play as that one in between that Mount plays. I think, he's obviously going to start against Sheffield United. I think, and this is what I said to my old man earlier, I think he'll feature very little this season. And I think Tuchel would have maybe sat down with him because I know Tuchel knows quality and he's already spoken of his quality. I think he might. This is just speculation, by the way. This is coming from nothing but an idea. But I think Tuchel might sit down with him and say, "Look, mate, you're wicked. I'm doing this at the moment because I have to try and get us over the line. It's working. But this summer, when we have a pre-season and everyone starts at 0 points, I'm going to try something a little bit different, and it will be, utilizing your superb strengths." And I think he'll recognize how Ziyech is in his prime. He's not a kid. He's got super high confidence, and that's really valued at elite football. And I think he might feature a little bit more in a different system. But I do really worry for him in the short term, actually.
Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts as well. And I think something that we tend to forget is that Ziyech actually hasn't played that much football this year because the Dutch league ended so early in March.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Didn't have a preseason really as well. And I remember on Alex's podcast, maybe a year ago, even he had a sports there, a therapist on type thing that for injuries, and he basically said you don't have a proper preseason, you're spending the entire season trying to play catch up with the team. And so I think that since Hakim hadn't played football for 6 months, he came back, got injured, had a couple of games, got injured again, didn't find himself consistently in the team, and now he's just kind of on the sidelines. That also plays into it as well. Maybe he's just playing catch up for the entire season. And like you said, I don't think that this system necessarily fits him as well. But I do think that Tuchel is using it because right now it's working. We stopped the goals from leaking. We still need to work on scoring, but we're winning games, which is the most important thing. And we really need to get top 4. That's what he was hired to do. And then afterwards, once he has a preseason, he can try to identify where the gaps are in the team, who he wants to buy, and fill in that way. And I'm sure that will be Hakim in that formation.
Absolutely. He keeps talking about that last 20% of the pitch. Bring in Hakim Ziyech. He'll do. Let's not forget who he is and what he does. If you want to figure out how to make the last 20% better, you figure out a system where you utilize Hakim Ziyech essentially. Maybe he won't, but hopefully he will. I'm inclined to think he will. Everything you said, I echo those sentiments. But also acclimatizing to the new league. When he first came in, he got hit a few times, and he was I'm not going to swear, but he was what the friggin' hell is this? And that's why if you don't mind me going on a little tangent here on new signings, Timo Werner has come out a lot and been wow, this Premier League, they're all massive and fast. And he said it on a couple of interviews with German publications. He's talked about the difficulty and the franticness. And part of me really likes that because he's just being honest. He's not saying I can't do it. He's just saying, wow, this is really tough. I'm going to, have to work really hard, which is great. But he doesn't look like he's incapable. Like, he gets battered, but he gets up and he keeps running. He's not like, like, I've been battered, I'm gonna like Morata it for the rest of the game. He's like, he gets back up and he tries, much like, Pulisic or something like that. That he gets up and he like carries on running. He carries on running the channels. He will keep trying to score. He needs to get a few more goals to get his confidence fully back. But for all his talk, he looks fine. And like, Kai Havertz, I was a little bit worried about at first, but now I feel totally fine with him as well because
you do.
Yeah. I feel fine with Kai Havertz because he we've seen him run out of the press of those like 4 players. When he glides out, he's not scared. He knows they're all coming, but he just confidently glides out. He's sure he's like lanky and gangly, but he has been jumping in the 6-yard box, winning headers against hairy-assed English defenders. I'm talking about these big brutes, and he's not scared. He's like winning headers. Even if he gets knocked down, again, the fact that he's going for him and doing a knockdown to Timo, or winning a header in the final minute, or trying to win a header in the final minute, he's not scared at all. I'm not worried about him. He's not like super. And I've seen him do before he got COVID. I saw him do like 4 or 5 successful slide tackles. Kai Havertz, this like graceful ballerina type attacking midfielder that glides around the pitch like Kaká. Do you know what I mean? He's using like slide tackles. He's winning headers in the 6-yard box. I'm not worried about him. Timo talks about how he's struggling, but he looks fine. It's Hakim Ziyech, the older one, the more seasoned one, who obviously he's very, very thin. If you like see his arms and legs, he's very thin. He's the one who looks as the senior player as well, that looks a little bit more susceptible to getting battered, I think. So
yeah. So let's see. I'm kind of willing to give all of them like this season as a past season to get adjusted to the Premier League. We also had a lot of games. What's the word? Like in very like short succession. You know what I mean?
A congested schedule.
Yes, exactly. So I do think that we're going to see the best of these players. I don't know necessarily with Havertz if we're going to see much either of him this season. I do think like maybe next season we'll see more of him, but we haven't been seeing much. He's somebody that I do want to see more of as well. Pulisic as well. Like, where do you? I just want to get your thoughts on Pulisic and pick your brain because you know how I feel about this guy. So
yeah. So. Amazing. I don't know if Joe Tweeds is still in here, but he might have just dropped to G&T to comment and dipped out. But I've heard him speak on podcasts about it, like how he was our most influential attacker last season. Incredible, like to the point of talismanic levels, like scoring against Man City, amazing goals, scoring against frightening the hell out of Liverpool, the 2 biggest, best clubs at the time, scoring in FA Cup finals, strong argument that if he doesn't come off of a hamstring injury, we beat Arsenal and win the FA Cup with Lampard. Do you know what I mean? Like there's iconic, like in that first season of the Lampard. Injuries is his only problem for me. Injuries is his only problem. There's this idea that Tuchel was going to come in and like be reunited with him and just like make him golden and the golden boy, but it hasn't really happened like that. I think he's sort of seen like, I need more inside forwards kind of, and like Werner, even though he's playing that role, he's still more of a second striker. Well, the best formation we've had as a front three has been Mount as the false 9, number 10, behind Werner and Cho, or Werner and Giroud if Cho is playing wing back, which is essentially his best role under Tuchel. I'm not saying it won't work. I think it will work, but he's going to need to play him in a front 2 as almost like a forward striker. He could play wing back. Out of all the wingers, Ziyech can't play wing back because he's too frail and he doesn't have the engine. Hudson-Odoi can, and I think probably Pulisic can as well. I think, which would be difficult for Chilwell as well, who's like been like, dude, what the hell? Yeah. But I can see why he wants Alonso. Alonso's. He hasn't got the engine, but he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it more than he needed more of an engine in Antonio Conte's system. The way Tuchel plays with very much sitting double sixes and stuff, like Alonso really just camps forward and he holds the ball up as a left wing back, as like a striker, and he's tall and he wins headers. And at the moment, there's just he's not skillful, but he's skillful. He's skillful and he strikes a ball, but he's not this technical player, Alonso. He's like a functional anchor up in that part of the pitch where you can put the ball up and he'll alleviate pressure like a Giroud would, but he's a wing back. And I think Tuchel's looked at that and goes, there's too much useful functionality here to drop that. But, you could make an argument that Pulisic could do the Hudson-Odoi role in that place should Tuchel want it. I'd love to see it work because, I was tweeting out in that Atletico game. I wanted him on because...
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because I wanted someone to carry the ball and dribble into the box. Like, the way Hudson-Odoi plays his best football on the Tuchel as a wing back, he's like a winger. Not a dribbly winger, but like a chalk on your boots winger. As in like the byline and the touch line. We needed someone to like carry the ball and dribble in. Pulisic can do that, especially in a low block. Because, you can play on the shoulder, but you can also carry the ball between the lines as a dribbler. Who else is doing that in that team? No one. Especially, like Hudson-Odoi can do it, but the way he's being deployed, he's not afforded the opportunity to do it. So I was like, amazing player. The thing is, if his injuries sort out, which is like a tall order because his injury record is absolutely like tragic, nothing short of tragic. If he like sorts his injuries out, finds a long, stable run of form, he could be a nailed-on starter. Absolutely. Like, why not? He could like bench Werner. He could big new money signing who's historically scored so many goals, like much more than Pulisic. But Pulisic could bench him because he's that kind of player. He could be a superstar, but you don't know, do you? It's the injuries essentially.
I know it's so frustrating because especially since we've seen what Pulisic can do post restart and we know that he has it in him, but I do think that the injuries are getting to him this season as well. And I don't know. I think he probably has it on his mind, like, oh, I don't want to be like as explosive because I don't want to pull my hamstring again and be out for another 3 months or whatever it is. So maybe he's playing a little bit more cautious as well. And they're just trying to manage his injuries. But he's a player that I'm really excited about, and I hope that we find a spot for him. I do think that he can play in this system, or like we've been saying, I think that we're not going to see this system forever, probably until the end of the season, and then next season maybe we play with 4 at the back again, and then you have an extra space for that attacker. So
100%, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he might keep the system, but he might just train like Ziyech for loads and loads, saying, right, I'm going to adapt how we systemically play in the system to get the best out of Ziyech. Like you go in that space when he's there, and therefore you don't have to do this or something. There could be some like more technical tactical instructions, but yeah, I think he'll take an opportunity to train other positions and maybe use wingers. Maybe he's a front three, like a conventional wingers. Look at what City's doing. He might just sit down and study Guardiola because that's the kind of guy Tuchel is, and try and do these systemic cutbacks from wingers. Absolutely, Ziyech could do that. Or find a way to play him as like a sort of less functional number 8. It's very difficult. I mean, the more I think about it, he is a little like, I think Brandon said this on London is Blue. He got like roasted for it a little bit at first, calling him a luxury player. And I was like, come on, he's a superstar. But now I'm thinking, yeah, he's a bit of a luxury player. Do you know what I mean? He's a little bit of like, kind of like a Fabregas, but towards Fabregas's end of his career, he like almost famously won Antonio Conte over. Because remember, Antonio Conte, yeah, he came in, he dropped Fabregas and went, no, Kante and Matic. You can't do that. That midfield role is too much responsibility and work. But by the end, he convinced him so much that he can do pressing and he's like important. He didn't put him in that midfield too, but he switched from a 3-4-3 to a 3-5-2. So he just put that extra midfielder in and said, that's going to be Fabregas, and I'll just play Hazard off the striker, which started off as Morata and ended off as Giroud, so. I
literally remember this was before I was really on football Twitter, and I remember tweeting that, oh, we brought Fabregas on and look, we scored 2 goals in 10 minutes. Like,
Yeah. And Fabregas was such a good player, but he was never going to put in tackles, and he can't run. And like his slide tackle, I remember like there's a joke. One of his slide tackles started in 1 minute and actually ended in the other minute of a tick over. There's only a few saves, like a couple of seconds, but that's still slow enough to look ridiculously slow. A glacial drip. His tackle was, but people don't know as well. Well, people do know, but he actually played as a striker or a false nine for Barcelona. Yeah, before he came to Chelsea after Arsenal. Obviously, he was deployed quite a lot as a false nine at Barcelona. So, you know, he can do different roles.
I miss Fabregas. I tweeted this yesterday. I was like, this game is just calling for somebody like Fabregas to break down the lines. And
when he had that amazing game against PSG recently, didn't he? When they're was it Monaco? Because he plays for Monaco, doesn't he? But like he doesn't play that much anymore. And I'm pretty sure it was PSG earlier in the season where they were losing. He came on at halftime. They were losing 2-0. Fabregas comes on at halftime and they win 3-2. And he like completely changes the game. Yeah, like amazing. And he's like, I mean, how old is Fabregas? He can't be that old, but because of his like,
he must be like, I'm guessing 34,
33, but he's going to be 34 soon. So he's not like super old because considering the kind of player he is, you could play him deeper as more of like a Pirlo. Do you know what I mean? But he's like, I don't think he's necessarily one of these players that have got better with age, like a Giroud, Pirlo. Not that, Ibra got better with age, but he keeps playing well. But yeah, he certainly made the difference in that game. And the headlines, were Fabregas saves Monaco in historic win. Do you know what I mean? So it's superb. Monaco won against PSG 3-2, and last week they won 2-0. There you go from Yusuf.
Insane.
There you go.
Somebody else that I want to ask you about, because I know that those have been like the headlines today, basically, is that Tammy had sorry. My husband walked into the room and I got distracted.
Get him on stream.
He's just got back from the gym, so
was you walk in like, oh god, all right, I'll walk out.
He's like tiptoeing like, do you want to show you while you're really sweaty?
Come say hello.
You know Yan.
Hi Jan.
Hey man, how you doing? You
good? There were 98 other people as well.
Oh, awesome. Nice to meet you, everyone.
It's good to see you, man. That's cool. I'm so jealous that he can go to the gym. They're all like shut here. So
yeah, we're so lucky that we're basically like everything's open, but you just have to wear the mask everywhere. So
in the gym as well.
Yeah, that's why I stopped going to the gym because.
So yeah, when the gyms were open here, you didn't have to wear a mask, but the ventilation is so strong. Like this guy told me, like the cubic meters of air that it takes out, like the masks would be redundant unless you're like sneezing on people. But like the masks themselves didn't do anything in terms of because your exhale would be immediately sucked out.
It's terrible. I stopped going because I was just getting like.
It's dangerous, breathing really heavily, like when you're on the dinker.
It's terrible. So I stopped going because you have to wear a mask in the gym. You have to wear a mask outside here as well.
Just walking down the street.
Yeah, if you walk in the street, you have to wear a mask. Mask everywhere. So it's
fair
okay.
Enough.
I don't go to the gym because I just do my workouts at home.
Yeah, fair enough. See, I go running and stuff, but like. On a tangent while we're talking about this is fitness channel now, guys. I used to work out all the friggin' time. I was really into it, and then I recently did a few push-ups, and my arms were like shaking, and I was like, "What happened to me, man?" Like I used to be into like bodybuilding, and now I'm like a little proper weed. Like I can't even do push-ups. Anyway, we move.
I started getting into bouldering now. Like my husband's super into bouldering.
That's cool. Yeah, it's really hard, right?
It's so freaking difficult. So I'm starting to get like really strong there. It's really fun. Like I posted a picture. I was like, I did this. It doesn't look that difficult, but it's super cool.
Yeah, no, I can do it as well. I can haul my bloody beer, get up a wall. No way.
It's
anyway.
more difficult than it looks. But anyways, guys, I know you're not here to hear us talk about sports. Maybe we can do that another stream. But I do want to quickly ask you about Tammy because we've seen that Chelsea are really going all in for Haaland. Whether or not that's actually going to happen, I have my doubts. I think it's going to be extremely difficult signing for Chelsea to pull off, but there has been rumors that Chelsea do have interest in Haaland. They've had interest in him since his Salzburg days. So what do you think about the news that Chelsea might sign Haaland and Tammy isn't signing a contract extension because of this? And by the way, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's not a rumor by all accounts. It's like a pretty solid report from like Simon Johnson of The Athletic and Matt Law of The Telegraph that
Sorry,
Chelsea... Go on.
My computer charger, so you guys are going to see my apartment very quickly.
I'm going to see like a dead body on the floor, like a corpse.
Oh my God. So sorry to interrupt. Keep talking.
It was to see your husband like walking out the shower in a minute after the gym.
No, don't.
Stitched them up. No, cool. There you go. I'd walk around with mine, but I'm on a desktop, so yeah. To continue what I was saying, it wasn't a rumor. It's a pretty like solid report that Chelsea made a very decent effort to sign him when he was at Salzburg. The reason why they didn't is because the wages that Mino Raiola, his agent, the big fat sweaty man, what he demanded for him and the player, Chelsea weren't convinced by, but Dortmund were like, we'll do it. And like Chelsea now are very convinced by, because he's like the best young centre forward in world football, hands down. So Chelsea did try and sign him, and they want to sign him again. And that's pretty like hands down. That's not really a rumor. That's just a pretty like concrete report. I can understand. I'll tell you my opinion on it. Yes, we should absolutely frigging sign him. Any elite club should. Chelsea win titles when they have a hot firing number 9. That's just how it works. Timo Werner should score goals, but he's not going to play as a centre forward for Chelsea, I'm pretty sure. So Giroud's great. He's a peculiar anomaly. He's a cult hero. He's a big, handsome Frenchman that we love, and he'll score amazing goals and whatever, all that kind of stuff. But he's not the answer. He's 34 going to 35. And then so Haaland, absolutely. I think he's tall, he's strong. He won't care about the Premier League. He won't be fazed by it. He's literally going to be, he'll get to the Premier League and he'll score goals. I've never ever been so what's up, Eunice? I've never ever been so adamant that a striker would come in and completely not even acclimatized. He's the kind of goal scorer that's offended if he doesn't get at least one goal. He's so physical and fast. He'll have no problem with the Premier League, and he's just going up and up and up. He's got like 18 Champions League goals and 13 starts against some good teams as well. Sevilla had 7 clean sheets in a row before they came up against Haaland, and he scored a brace. No problem. Absolutely no problem. So I fully endorse that and sign off on it. And so would my compadre Eunice there. I imagine he'd feel the same. And with Tammy, he wants to be the number 9 for Chelsea. He is the number 9 for Chelsea. He's got a huge ambition. He wants to play for, The Athletic reported on this morning. He wants to play for Chelsea regularly. He wants to play for England regularly. He feels like he's done well in his first season for Chelsea, which he did. He did. He underperformed his XG a bit, but he scored 15 Premier League goals in a transitional season. He scored 3 Champions League goals, 18 goals. His return this season has been very good in terms of general numbers. But, he frustrates me because he has his Bambi moments where he falls over. I think he gets frustrated too easily on the pitch, but he can be good. Sometimes he does these little back heel flicks to combine. He shows he's got it in there. He's got the techers. He's got the skills to be really good, and he can finish with both feet. And theoretically, he's still really young. He's worth a lot of money. He could be really good. I don't want to lose Tammy. Okay, I want Giroud. I'm on the fence whether to give him another year, because I don't know if he can keep pulling this out of the bag. But with Tammy, he's always going to be a useful young striker to have. Something that I said in my video today, and I've said before, he is better than Michy Batshuayi by some distance, Tammy Abraham. He is better than Loic Remy by some distance, Tammy Abraham. So our 2 most recent, long-term number 2s. Do you know what I mean? He's way better than them. So he could be a really good second striker to just have chomping at the bit. But he's not the Erling Haaland that's going to win you Premier League titles. And I'm not sure. I think there's a very, very small percentage chance that he'll get that good. I'm not saying he can't, because he's ambitious, he's young, and he's talented. But, Haaland's 2 years younger than him, and he's so much better than him right now. So I wouldn't want to lose him, but I can understand at the same time he wants to go because loads of teams will take Tammy Abraham in a second. Aston Villa bloody love him. They've got Ollie Watkins, who's great. So if they hadn't had Ollie Watkins, they'd be straight in for him. He broke the record for goals scored in the season for them. What was it, 2 years ago? First goal scorer to get over like 25 goals in like a quarter of a century for Aston Villa. He tore up for Bristol City. He did well for us in the first season. Like I say, he's a young English striker with ambition and a good professional attitude. There'll be a lot of Premier League clubs that would say, Tammy Abraham, yes, please. I don't want to lose him. He loves Chelsea. He's been with us since he's been under sixes. It's a nice story. I don't want him necessarily starting every game, but I want him in the squad. But if he wants to go, then what can you do? He's refusing to extend his contract at the moment because of this. And what ideally I'd like is for him to go to like a Lyon or something in Ligue 1, like the second best team in France, and score like 25 league goals in a season or something, and then be England's second striker or something. Something like a nice story like that. But that's how I feel about it. I'll end my monologue there on Tammy Abraham.
So you don't see Tammy staying at Chelsea?
What a question! You dropped the big one on me.
I get to ask you some questions, Ian.
Can I like give you the crap answer and say if we sign Haaland, no? I don't know. Okay. If Chelsea sign Erling Haaland, there's a strong chance they'll say to Giroud, we're not going to extend, you're amazing, and you've been amazing, and there's nothing to say you won't keep being amazing in terms of what we expect of you. Not the fact how he's going to score 30 Premier League goals, but in terms of what he brings. Thank you very much, Giroud. Go and get a 2 or 3 year contract at a Italian team where you're the main man and you have a lovely time. If they do that, they might turn to Tammy Abraham and say, right, Tammy, Vern is not going to be playing centre forward really. Haaland is, but you can, he's not going to play in all 4 competitions all the time. If he's injured or whatever, you're going to get loads of game time. We're going to give you like a decently paid contract, sign. In that instance, I think he'd stay. But I think, what a headline if he leaves Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Like, what I mean, go on. Yeah.
No, it's difficult because, Chelsea just signed Werner, who is supposed to be like another striker signing who's going to score a lot of goals. He hasn't been doing that, but I do think that he is going to get better and he is going to score goals.
But not as a striker, not as like a centre forward. That's the thing, remember as well. So like I don't think he's either going to play as an inside forward in like this sort of front 3, or he'll play in a 2. Genuinely, that's what I think. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for a second proper 9.
So you're saying that Tammy isn't really competing with Werner, he's competing with the second striker. Yeah. Because Tammy, for all his faults, he still is a number 9. Werner isn't playing a number 9. He's playing as a sort of shadow striker, like a cloak and dagger. And you can't play with just a shadow striker. You can offer false 9 like Mason Mount, and then Tammy. But then Tammy would play as the other forward. You know what I mean? Where Giroud played at the moment. So there would be opportunity there in this current system. We're thinking here. We're talking in the context and through the lens of this current Chelsea side. Mm-hmm. But it hurts, but I want to see him do well. I loved watching him in the Championship, and every time he scored, I was like, oh, Tammy scored again, Tammy scored. And he started under Frank, and he was top scorer in the Premier League, and it was like, there's our boy, There's something about, even if they don't belong to you anymore, if they're academy bred, there's something nice about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, because Chelsea will always be part of them, regardless. Like I said, I personally, if I was doing like a FIFA Football Manager, I'd make him go and be like the first team striker for like Lyon or a Dortmund. Maybe we could swap. Do you know what I mean? Maybe send him, Tammy and say, look, he's not going to score Haaland goals, but he might get you like 18, 19 league goals a season if in the Bundesliga. I'd like to see him at a club like that and then get back in the England setup as like the second striker. But the likes of Calvert-Lewin doing a madness, I fear for him. Calvert-Lewin has been on fire this season, and
I'd love him, by the way. If we couldn't get Haaland, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I would take in a heartbeat.
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Especially if we're losing Olivier Giroud, we need a little bit more sort of like sex appeal, you know. But we're gonna get like a worse looking Chelsea team. You bring in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, handsome boy.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I need to clip this up, obviously. But yeah, I think a lot of people could be worried about Tammy becoming another one that got away, that he doesn't play when he's young, he goes to another team, and then he starts playing really well, becomes this incredible striker that we thought that he could be. So it's a difficult situation, and but I honestly don't blame Tammy if he says, I want to be the first name, that not the first name on the team sheet, but I want to be a starting striker at a club and know that I'm going to get game time week in and week out so that I can fight for a spot in England and you know, play more game time. I can't fault him for not wanting to be a number two.
And he's having a good, but like, yeah, I agree. But you got to think as well, he enjoys being at Chelsea. He loves Chelsea. He loves his teammates and stuff. And if push comes to shove, you know, Chelsea sit. If he does have a contract negotiation talk again, and they say, look, you know, you're going to play. If you play well, you can force out anyone. You're going to be on like good money, mate. You can stay at the club you love. It's there. He might think, do I really want to go and like whatever? Like, you know, what Prem team would he go to as well? Like, you know, if Danny Ings, it's almost like Danny Ings could go to a top 6 club. Maybe Tammy Abraham would go to like a Southampton, like a good attacking mid-table club, you know, and be the number 9 for them. I can't really think like what else, you know, who else, you know, like obviously Leicester are going to need a new striker soon because Jamie Vardy, as amazing as he is, he literally is like going to be 35 soon and relies on pace. You know, could like something like Leicester go for a Tammy Abraham? Maybe he's got a good record, you know.
It's going to be an interesting summer window, to say the least. I think we had such a good window last summer, and now this summer it seems like Chelsea are really like going to go big for a striker and a defender and maybe a central midfielder as well. So yeah, I don't want to take up too much more of your time because we've already gone a little bit over.
Yeah. I'm trying to cook some food soon, man. You know, it's been fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. Honestly, I know that everybody always loves when you come on, so it's honestly such a pleasure. I'm sure that everybody knows where they can find you because you're just incredible. But if there's someone who somehow does not know, just let them know where they can find you.
Catch me on Tinder. Football therapy. Football therapy on YouTube. Twitter, Chelsea Yannick on Twitter. Thanks. I don't know what to say, really.
I put your like socials in the description in case people somehow didn't know where to find you. Guys, thanks so much for joining me again. If you like this video, please drop it a like. It really helps out a lot. Subscribe to my channel. Have a lot of great guests scheduled to come on. I'm sure that we'll have Yen on again. And yeah, so thanks so much for joining. Hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, until next time, I'm out.